Truck yesterday, who was quick in happy hour, and your top qualifier as well, who was, I'm pretty sure it was one of the Sodi racing machines who was able to put it on the pole position yesterday. And it's going to be an action-packed day of racing here today, and it's going to be an exciting one here from Houston as they continue to work their way through, and we wait for timing to update here, and we'll put that up here shortly on your screen. Let's run you down all drivers that will be here in this Micro Swift class. A lot of talent and a lot of drivers, a lot of different teams and a lot of different manufacturers, and that's one of the Bennett machines. That's Dutch Westbrook, who's on the side of the racetrack there, unfortunately. 40 karts total in the field here for this Micro Swift class. It's Camila Canache in the number 1. She's from Georgia with the Bennett team here this weekend. Rodolfo Garza in the CRG Nordum from McAllen, Texas in the number 2. It's going to be Liam Four in the number 4. No pun intended there. George Ho in the number 5 here this weekend with the U-Race Paralyn team. It's Slate Harrell in the number 8 from North Carolina in the Super Tune Paralyn. It's Anthony Mateo Montesinos Garcia from Mexico, Guanajuato with the Zanella Tony Kart team in the number 9. In the number 10, it's going to be Cameron Johnson, the Franklin Motorsports entry, all the way from Wisconsin. It's Marcelo Flores from Monterrey, Mexico in the SLA Kart Racing Kart Republic. He's in the number 12. And the number 13, it's going to be Daniel Ramirez. Sterling Mulata is going to be in the 14 with the Team Bennett machine. It's going to be Zev Gottschalk, the 6-year-old here this weekend, 6 years young, one of the youngest drivers here this weekend at the United States Pro Kart Series opening round. He's in the number 15 from the island of Curacao here this weekend with brother racing as well. Win Gottschalk, who was super quick yesterday, was fast and happy hour. I think qualified second, if I'm not mistaken, yesterday in qualifying. It's Santiago Orioli in the number 16. Santiago Orioli was the man who put it on pole here yesterday. He's in the number 16 out of Orlando, Florida, in his MPG Kart Republic here this weekend. Nico Salazar is going to be in the 21. And the 22 is going to be Tyler Blackwood. Ajax Capitan Garduno in the 23. It's going to be Win Gottschalk, the other kid from Curacao. He's going to be in the 25. The 26, it's Miguel Enrique Manzano Suarez from Mexico City, Mexico with the Rawlson Performance Group Cosmic. Lawrence Perriman in the 28. Brody Stoffel in the 29 from Katy, Texas. A hometown race for Brody Stoffel here this weekend. Luca Bessero in the 31. Dutch Westbrook, who we saw go off track there earlier, he's going to be in the 33 Bennett machine out of Fort Worth, Texas. Nolan Carney in the 34. Mikey Collins in the 35. In the 38, it's going to be Easton Kubinski. In the 40, it's going to be Lorenzo Lopez. Andrew Lee Anastasio is going to be in the 43. Kimo Ahmad in the 44 for the young Egyptian. Zane Burgess, the Jamaican sensation here again this weekend, who's put the entire Micro Swift class by storm here. He's in the 55. And there he is on your screen with Marcelo Flores. Anthony Mazzaculo in the 66. Benson Hale in the 67. In the 76, it's Patricio Pena. Sebastian Piamonte in the 77. Mauro Nario in the 80. Leo Simone in the 83. Mateo Gomez in the 88. Jake Manalio in the 91. Jack Katowski in the 92. Victor Gus Wonderland of Iron Rock Motorsports Machine. He's in the 97. Aiden Go in the 98. And Byron Bornman in the 99. 40 karts total in this Micro Swift class as they continue to work their way through. And Santiago Orioli picking up where he left off yesterday, going quickest here in morning warm-up with a 1-minute flat. 0.146 for Santiago Orioli in his MPG Motorsports machine. There's Zane Burgess and Marcelo Flores, who continue to push each other forward. Zane was quick yesterday, put it into the top 10, and he's been one of those drivers to look out for all year long after having a good performance at the Super Nationals 26, and has had a good performance so far this year, as now Kimo Ahmad goes top of the timing screen for the hometown kid at 59.992 for the 44 of Kimo Ahmad. Jake Manalio up in a second, Lawrence Perriman in third, Mikey Collins in fifth, and just as I say that, Santiago Orioli back to the top of the timing screen. So wait for that to update shortly here on your screen. But a lot of great drivers here in this Micro Swift class, an absolutely stacked Micro Swift class with 40 drivers total, and this is presented by Team Ferris Racing. So it's going to be an action-packed weekend of racing for these young drivers and I can't wait for the action to see. And like we're seeing on our screen now, Zane Burgess, there you see he made the pass here into the belt buckle, turn number 11, and that's going to be one of the biggest passing zones that we see all weekend long, with a little bit of a short shoot straight away through there. And there you see Kimo Ahmad looking to make a move as well on one of the Team Ferris racing machines there. So we're going to see a lot of passes here this weekend as the checkered flag comes out. Nobody able to improve. Orioli's still quickest. Ahmad slots back to second after his qualifying session. Wasn't the best yesterday, found himself in 17th. I expected a little better after having a lot of laps around this place, but did his best yesterday in qualifying, and going to be a charge up the field. For Brody Stoffel, I believe he had a late DQ for being underweight yesterday, so unfortunately for him, he's going to have to start shotgun Charlie on the field at the rear, unfortunately for young Brody Stoffel. But now quickest in this morning warm-up is Wynn Gottschalk, the kid from Curacao as well. Goes quickest with a 59.865. So a good showing so far by these micro sifts, and the whole goal of morning warm-up is to really knock out all those little gremlins, make sure the cart's working, and just kind of get yourself into the right mindset and getting back to hitting your marks. Coming up next is KA100 Junior, where it was all about Diego Ardiles. As there is some pickup getting underway here, we're going to take this chance to hear a quick word from our sponsors.
We're at a commercial break.
Are you looking for an advantage in your competition? Well, Kart Class has done the hard work for you. We've travelled to your racetracks to give you the inside knowledge. So what does Kart Class offer? We've got drone footage that captures the racing lines, visual markers for your braking points, acceleration zones, and the best overtake opportunities on your racetrack, pedal cam to show you where to brake and when to accelerate, and 360-degree footage to make sure you don't miss any parts on the racetrack. We've covered 13 racetracks in the United States, and Australia, you're up next. So visit kartclass.com to get your track information.
Are you ready to get behind the wheel? From Formula One to NASCAR and IndyCar, all the pros start here. For more information, check us out online at mcckarting.com or call us and go racing today.
Well, welcome back to Speedsportz Racing Park for the United States Pro Kart Series opening round, the Texas Grand Prix. My name is Caleb Yeska, and now joining me here in the booth is the one and only Alexander Searle. Alex, you've had a lot of intel for us. But before we get into all that fun stuff, what's it like being in Texas? You are a Florida man yourself, but what's it like being in the great state of Texas here, Alex?
I mean, we woke up and it looked like Florida. There was a bunch of fog out and about. A little cooler this morning for my taste, obviously, but now that I'm in Gainesville, it's a little cooler in northern Florida. But nonetheless, it feels the same, right? But it does get quite humid in Florida. Here, it's really dry heat, though I was kind of feeling it towards the end of the day a little bit. It was pretty hot, so I was glad we had that 10 by 20 tent for the interview guys, and the drivers liked it too. So that was a good time. like you mentioned, yeah, these KA Junior guys are on track right now. This is one of the many groups that we have in this 86 kart field for KA100 Junior. You mentioned it, right? Ardiles is the man that's going to be starting on pole later today for from all the heat races today. So he was quick. There he is on your screen right now, the 893, Diego Ardiles. His teammate Turner Brown, P3 in KA Junior, P1 in X30 Junior. So the RPG karts are rolling in every class they have been a part of. There's a U-Race driver behind him, giving him a bit of a push here. Let's talk about that, Caleb, right? This is a very high-speed racetrack. Only an eighth of a mile seems bigger, but it's just because of how high of a speed it is. How important is it to get a draft, especially in the KA class?
No, I mean, it's around a place like this, I mean, it's super important where you have such a long back straightaway that promotes a lot of passing opportunities into that turn 6 complex, which we like to call it here in Texas switchback city because of how easy it is to switch someone back over under someone whenever you're getting past there. So I mean, I guess you should say back straightaway is super important here this weekend. And it's going to be important for these guys and girls to really try and get a good draft. But it all starts in turn number 1. I talked about it yesterday. This complex that Garzone and Gasly are going through there. If you don't have the best entry or exit out of turn number 1, it's going to mess up the entire flow of these last couple of corners. And you see one of the U races go a little bit sideways. And you see the rest of the group kind of open up the gap a little bit here. But the drafting is going to be super important around here. It's a very flowy track, fast and flowy, and every single corner, I would say, is kind of like connecting the dots, right? If you don't get one right, then it's going to be a struggle trying to get down the back straightaway.
Yeah, for sure. And this is actually a good view of some of the really quick drivers that we're going to expect in the KA Junior class. Sebastian Garzone, one of them, hasn't had a great start to the year. It was quick in Homestead. Unfortunately, got pushed off in most of those feature races there. Had a good battle with Ardiles in rounds 3 and 4. Ardiles there behind him. Vanchev as well in front of Sebastian Garzone. We had a look there briefly at Chase Gassiet-Lee, who was able to get his first national podium in Orlando. He's been improving every single week, and I see him every single time I go to Homestead. I coach for all the AMR, monthly races there. He's always testing. He's been putting in the work, and it's showing on board that National Motorsports machine now. Chase Gassiet-Lee is absolutely flying there. Working with some of the Orsalon guys. We saw Cash Perkins was in that group as well. He's quick right now. But so far, it's Jose Paramo on top here in the warm-up session, right? Gassiet-Lee in 3rd. So there's a few. Obviously, the timing there's a little bit different. So Sebastian Garzone is actually the one P1 just ahead of Ardiles. Travis Pettit. How about Travis Pettit there? This is his freshman year in the junior category, but a P3 for him so far on board the Car Republic, looking to be pretty solid heading into today. Yeah,
a lot of drivers, making impressions, like you said. Some of the young ones, right? Marco Romero also was pretty impressive yesterday in qualifying, right? Was kind of mid-pack up into the faster group at some stage yesterday, and just a lot of young drivers, a lot of rookies kind of showing what they can do here. Travis Pettit as well, one of the big ones, right, in the Trinity Karting Group team. I mean, he had a great year last year in the Mini Swift class with Lucas Palacio, and now he looks to repeat that same success he had last year here in the KA100 Junior class. And you really have to think that these are some of the stars of tomorrow, right? These guys are 14, 13, kind of getting to that age where it's going to be about time to transition into the pro classes. And you have guys like Diego Ardiles, Mid-Montien, and more who do double duty in both classes, double the track time, and they're able to deliver great racing, not just in this class, but in both classes all weekend long. So it's going to be interesting to see how these drivers can fare out, and a lot of these guys race each other. They're going to race each other. Some guys out here are going to race each other 6 times today. So it's something else, and a lot of racing for the young guys doing double duty. But the checkered flag comes out this time by, and timing is still up there. It says Paramo's quickest, but I think Diego Ardiles is quickest with Garzone and second. Graham Tremmel, the full-time skeet shooter, part-time go-kart racer, puts it up in a 3rd. Travis Pettit 4th, and Tyrone Kemper Jr., the kid out of NOLA Motorsports Park, puts it 5th here.
Yeah, there's your top 5, 5/10 of a second separating your top 5 here in KA Junior. Obviously, it's just warm-up. We saw a bunch of battling. You're going to see drivers really testing their tire pressures for what they can expect for the heat races later on. So you can't really go off of lap times, right? Because Ardiles 3/10 on the field there with a stout field. Here's a look at the second group of 3 that's going to hit the racetrack this morning in the KA100 Junior category there. There's a look. We saw Enzo Vimontienne being one of the drivers. There's a look at the racetrack there, Caleb. And I mean, why don't we go through a quick lap here at Speedsportz, your home place?
Yeah, so I would say I probably have more laps than anybody in this crew at this place, you know, luckily. But I'm not that good at this track either, so I mean, I do my best. But turn 1, the most important turn, I would say, probably on the racetrack, right? You have to get a good entry, good exit there in turn number 1, and turns 1, 2, and 3 are super flowy. You want to be as straight line as possible through those 3 corners. Then 4 and 5, that leads you onto the back straightaway. So you need a good exit out of there to kind of get a good run and try and make passing zones in turn number 6, which is going to be one of the biggest passing zones that you see all weekend long. Turn 6 and 7, we know that's switchback city there. A lot of switchbacks. We'll see a lot of over-unders there all weekend long. And then when we go to turns 8 and 9, it's a double right-hander that leads to a short shoot. Chicane, a little bit of a kink there in turn 10. And then 11, another one of the big passing zones. We call that the belt buckle because it leads you to the boot. So turn number 11 is going to be, if you hear the belt buckle, it's going to be, we're talking about turn number 11, where you see a lot of passes, and then it's a little kink in turn number 12. And then the boot there, turns 13, 14, and 15 there, where we'll see a lot of passes as well. Turn 13 being one of the highest speed corners here at the racetrack, because you have a good exit out of 11, and it's super quick there, light tap on the brakes. And then turn 14, a deep braking zone, and you need a really good exit out of there to set up your run through the main straightaway and then across the finish line. And that's a lap around Speedsportz Racing Park. Some call it Houston's high-speed playground, and I'd like to agree, right? So, I mean, it's a great facility. You know, I'm lucky enough, you know, to be out here as much as I am, but it's always great seeing a full paddock out here, fence to fence. You know, one of the only times that we'll see it like this, super packed and super fence to fence, rather than when the Texas Sprint Racing Series comes out here. But I mean, it's great. You know, credit to Alan Rudolph and his entire work with the facility, because it's absolutely amazing, and I'm super fortunate to be, you know, one of the locals around here and get to race at a facility like this multiple times a year. But for these guys that are coming out here once a year, they seem to be enjoying it. You know, great racing. You see Vin Montiana looking for a move in turn 4, and he was able to get done on Ty Fisher. So a lot of great passing, and promotes great racing around here, Alex.
Yeah, for sure. One of the things that I'm most intrigued about is there's a late lunge to the inside. We're getting some early battles going on here in the warm-up session for KA Junior. This actually leads into what I was going to mention, though. With new tire compounds, right?
Yeah.
We've heard some guys mention that it's softer. The sidewall rolls over. It's long corners around Speedsportz. We heard Ryan mention it yesterday, Norberg. He said, you know, the most laps he's done so far in testing is 12. So heading into the heat races, a lot of these guys are blind in terms of a long distance style of a session. So it'll be interesting to see how these guys attack their first heat race. Are they going to go out there and set pressures high, pressures low? Are they going to push hard knowing they have to make them last for 3 heat races? Or are they going to try to maybe conserve it for heat 2 and heat 3? So I think we're going to see differing strategies depending on where you see drivers start throughout the field. I think if you're starting inside the top 5, top 10, especially in a class with 86 go-karts combining the 3 groups, or 4 groups, should I say. So I think in that regard, you're going to see drivers play it smart. Some are going to play it aggressive. You know, you're going to have your ends of the Montians of the world who always drive 110% and, you know, creates for exciting racing. But it also puts yourself at risk of getting knocked out and not making the main if it comes down to that. So for sure, we're in for a treat, I would say, in every class, because this track, no matter what, it tends to lead to great racing because it is so hard to pull away with how many passing opportunities there. Ty Fisher making a move. He's been incredibly quick this year. But yes, with the long straightaways, high-speed corners, and the hard braking zones, it creates for great racing, Caleb.
Yeah, and I want to go back to the point you made about the tires, right? So these, I guess, lower speed classes are on the MG Reds. And they have said that it's a softer tire than what it has been in the past. And then speaking of Ryan Norberg yesterday, they're on the MG Yellows, obviously, in the X30 class. But he's told me that in that MG Yellow class, that it's a stiffer sidewall, and he's just kind of been struggling for grip, trying to put grip into their go-karts. But, I mean, it seemed like they got to figure it out because they were quickest around here yesterday. But, you know, it's just another factor that these guys are dealing with, guys and girls, I should say, that they're dealing with, right? Because it's a new tire compound, you know, having to drive it differently, having to do a little different stuff around here. But, you know, they seem to be faring well, and all these young drivers seem to be enjoying that newer compound.
Yeah, so far looking at the timing and scoring here, only 3 laps in. The only driver to really sneak into the top 10 in this group is Enzo de Montien puts himself 7th right now in the warm-up. But again, you can't really look at lap times in a warm-up session because you don't know what they're testing. You don't know how old the tires are that they're out there on the racetrack. You don't know. Maybe there's no wind in the go-kart for all you know, right? So you can't really go off of lap times. Enzo, for sure, looks to be incredibly quick. Puts a P2 in lap 4 of warm-up. He's going to be one of the drivers to watch on board the Trinity Karting Kart Republic there. He's been quick all year long. Really been maybe I'd say the driver everyone's chasing, as there's Ty Fisher climbing through the positioning and timing and scoring here through this warm-up session. He's been incredibly quick on that TB kart. And yeah, we have a few battles here further back as one of the Inter-MS and CRG drivers as well through Switchback City there, Caleb.
Yeah, so that's David Ibarra in the CRG Nordum racing machine. He's out of Dallas, Texas, so he has a lot of laps around this place. He's going to know how to drive around here. Just trying to get that CRG dialed in here. And behind him is the young Argentine. That's Fausto Arnado and the Inter-MS. And I think these two guys are going to be ones to watch. I mean, Fausto almost earned himself a ticket to go overseas to the Rotax World Finals later this year in Sarno. So I think Fausto's going to be one of the drivers to watch. You know, obviously has coaching from the likes of ADT and Colin Lloyd, who you know are great drivers in their respect for the Inter-MS team. So Fausto, you know, learning a lot on a very, very tight-knit Inter-MS team, right? I guess you could say Argentine-based team. So get to see them, and then for David Ibarra, right, has a guy like Aiden Rudolph, you know, coaching him under his tent, and it's the same thing for multiple drivers out here, right? You have Enzo Vidamontien with Elio Meza, who has a lot of laps around his place, who just recently joined that Trinity Karting Group team. And for Ty Fisher, Alex Stanfield, and Christian Miles, who are both guys who were super quick here yesterday, right? Christian Miles putting it up into the top 3, just behind Norberg and Gia Cicero. So you know, it's going to be something to watch here today. A lot of drivers and a lot of young guys getting coached by some of the older guys here around the paddock this weekend, Alex.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, with a class this large, there's so many different manufacturers, so many different chassis, different teams. You just look at the screen right here: TB Kart, Kart Republic, CRG, and there's more, right? There's Tony Karts. There's all sorts of chassis. There's Sodi even being one of them, and much more, especially in a class with 86 go-karts. So it's really, really cool to see throughout the field here. There's Chico Brown making a move down the back straightaway. He's going to be one of the drivers to watch in both junior classes here. He's one of the guys doing double duty this weekend, right? And let's talk about that a little bit. We heard some of the drivers, we interviewed them yesterday, saying, you know, how are you feeling physically? And they're like, oh, I'm tired. It's only day 1, right? They have two more race days to go. This is the longest day they're going to race really all year long, right? And on all the USPKS races, how many heat races they have to go through. Like you said, they're going to have to race these guys 6 times at least. Different drivers nonetheless. So you know, it takes a toll on you mentally, but physically for sure, with how high speed it is, right? It puts a strain on your neck, on your arms, your entire body, just to run. Oh, there's Marco Romero and a few drivers going off in turn 15 there.
Wow.
Right in the pit exit. Wow, Caleb.
A lot of drivers there taking the exit route here in this one. That's Luke Tall there, who had to take the exit route, as well as one of the GFC Trackside Karting Services machines there. So unfortunate, but Chico Brown goes quicker than teammate Diego Ardiles here in this K8 Junior class. Coming up next, though, is your K8 Senior. We're going to take quick advantage with the pickup getting underway. So hear a quick word from our sponsors, but you're watching Kart Chaser's live coverage of the opening round of the United States Pro Kart Series.
Brandon, why are there all these charges for just over $200 from Acceleration Kart Racing's website?
That's because AKR gives you free shipping on orders of $200 or more within the continental US.
Okay, but I thought you were just getting a pair of gloves. That's what, 70 bucks?
But if I'm getting a new pair of gloves, I might as well get a new pair of shoes to match. And then on top of that, I'll get a neck brace because with the shipping, it's basically free.
Yeah, I do not think the math checks out on that.
Everything you need, all in one place and shipped to your door for free for orders of $200 or more. Exclusions apply. Spend responsibly. Shop AKR.com.
I'm David Serra, 18-time Australian karting champion, and we're launching Kart Class. Kart Class is an advanced digital training program that suits a driver who's just starting out in the sport, all the way to the driver looking to win a national championship. In this program, you're going to be learning about how to find the ideal racing line and what an apex is, braking and throttle markers, wet weather racing lines, and how to overtake other competitors. We target how to brake in the wet weather, and we look on the mental side of kart racing as well with our mental skills coach. At the completion of this program, you'll be lighting up purple sectors in qualifying, know when to defend on the opening laps, and how to pressure your opposition into mistakes. We teach you the tools to be resilient and how to get in the right frame of mind before a race. We look to complete the whole package by getting a strong mindset, a driving style to suit all conditions, strategizing your race, and getting the last 1% from your team. We'll teach you how to win the final lap of a race, driving the wet like Max Verstappen, and creating the perfect bubble for yourself to mentally be in the zone. To find out more, click the link below.
Welcome back to Speedsportz Racing Park as the K8 Senior class has made their way onto the track here in this one. There on your screen is Elio Meza and Justin Music, two, you could say, locals around Speedsportz Racing Park here. Alex, you were down getting intel all day yesterday. You spoke with Elio and a lot of other drivers around here. It was all about Jake Drew, though. I mean, you spoke to him. What was he telling you about, you know, his return back to the seat?
I mean, he felt comfortable, right? Because you don't really ever lose the touch of driving, especially in the go-kart. You know, you replaced Connor for a race in TA2, hoping to do more throughout the year in the TA2 class with a good top 4 finish there at Atlanta. But yeah, he did a club race, like Trackhouse Motorplex, in the KA class, felt pretty good. But he said here at Speedsportz, it took him until the second lap of qualifying to really feel dialed in. And what do you know, lap 3 puts it on pole position. So that's all it took for him on board that GFC go-kart. The single speed stuff for GFC has been lights out this year. There's the 800, looks to me, got spun around there in turns 3. There's a couple other drivers there. Getting hectic out here, Caleb, in the opening lap of warm-up. Some of these KA senior guys trying to slot in line and get a good lap to see where they stack up with the rest of the field heading into the first heat later this afternoon. But like I mentioned, GFC single speed, you know, they're known for their shifter stuff. But on the single speed side, they have been incredibly quick as well. Jake Drew's been fast. Keegan Kaminsky has been really quick as well all weekend, and a bunch of others for the GFC. But how about it for Elio Meza as well, right? We talked after happy hour. He said, you know, my goal, I want to finish really outside the top 5 in happy hour. He didn't want to be the one that was quickest because everyone's going to draft off of him. So he came off the scales. He said, dude, this was the perfect session for me. He put a P8 in happy hour. What do you know? He lines up, front row for qualifying there. It's going to put him first, obviously, for his group in qualifying. So Elio Meza, incredibly quick. Obviously, this is a track that really put him on the map last year. He was fast last year, but when we came here to USBKS and got the win at X30 Pro, that was when we really got, to see what he was all about. And from there, it was just a, upward trajectory in terms of his season. There's Blake Nash making his return to KA. He did it at the Squeezer Pro Tour. He's no longer doing the X30 stuff this year. Back to KA. He said he feels at home. Right? I asked him, what's it like going back from X30 back down to the KA after a year and a half. He goes, this is home for me. This is where he feels really comfortable, and it's showing. Right? Yeah. Consistently in the top 3, top 5 in every single session yesterday. Starting inside the top 3 with qualifying. Great performance for the Nash Motorsports driver there, Caleb.
Yeah, I mean, Blake, he's had a great return to the KA seat, right? A couple of podiums so far. He podiumed the Texas Racing Series out at NOLA not too long ago on a very stacked class. So, I mean, he's had a great time being back in the KA 100 senior class. But I mean, we can't fail to mention, he was one of our X30 Pro drivers last year, and he got a lot of experience, driving against some of those guys, and learned a whole lot. I mean, he was even out in Europe a couple of weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, I should say. He was out in Europe, racing over there with very, very good drivers. So I mean, he's learned a lot, and he's brought it right back here to this KA 100 senior class with a lot of other drivers, who are out here this weekend. I mean, I can't fail to mention Alan Isambard and AJ Myers, who are running here this weekend in the KA 100 senior class. Adding more variables to this class. More and more drivers. A very, very stacked field. I would say all the way outside of the top 30, there's big names that we're used to hearing at the front. It just shows you how tight knit this class is, right? And and how you need to take everything that you can get, because it's really difficult to put it up at the front in such a draft heavy class here, Alex.
Yeah, there's a look at the top 3 drivers in warm-up right now. Meza, Bonilla, and Vinny Maskelis working together, doing exactly what needs to be done in the KA Senior class. So this is actually some of the best testing they can do for a heat race, because this is probably what they expect to hopefully see out front, with Meza obviously starting at the front there. There's Bonilla. He wants to lead now this group of 3 go-karts there. So this is going to be 3 of the drivers to expect. But like you mentioned, there's so many drivers. Isambard, not doing the shifter now in KA. AJ Myers, last-minute entry into the KA Senior category, and he said, listen, look, this Magic Kart, it works on single speed. He goes, they improved on it from last year. It looks good this year. We've seen it with multiple drivers on board the Magic Kart USA chassis. So he's like, this is going to be, what works going forward, and hopefully AJ can set a good precedent for that chassis and show that it really works in single speed as well.
Yeah, no, definitely for sure for all of these drivers, right? So they're doing a great job, working together and pushing each other forward here in this session.
Yeah, for sure. So that was your first group there in the KA Senior class, with Bonilla leading Meza, Maskelis, Connor Ferris, Ryan Persing on the nap.
Well, as our second group makes it out to the racetrack, we see more and more drivers there. It's Peyton Phillips, Austin Olds, who has had a good breakout here at the United States Pro Kart Series, almost putting it on the pole position yesterday. Fell just short, but he was super quick all day yesterday, and looks to continue his pace here in this one. That's Finnegan Bailiff there in the Trinity Karting Group Kart Republic. There, Adrian Cruz right behind him, and a lot of other drivers. I mean, Xander mentioned yesterday that this is probably one of the most stacked fields that we've seen in a very long time, outside of the Scusa Supernats. So, I mean, Alex, this is a very, very stacked field. I mean, you're a man of some picks. Who would you have, taking it here this weekend around this place?
The easy one's Elio Meza, but I'm not going to do that because that's not what I do. But yeah, he's probably the one that I would say if I had to look at this, and if I was a betting man, I'd say, Elio Meza, just because this is a track that he's, grown up in, right? And on board the TKG Kart Republic, he looks to be super quick in every single track he's been a part of. There's Finnegan Bailiff as well, one of his teammates. In and out of the top 5, top 10, struggling qualifying slightly, but I talked to Sean this morning, said that, they think they have the pace, just it's super tough to gauge with the tires, to get inside the window to be quick when it matters most. So for Finn Bailiff, an up and down day yesterday, hoping to be much better today. But like you mentioned, there's something that I was looking at and saying, maybe a dark horse pick, I'd say, because Jake Drew, Meza, Blake Nash, Jesus Vasquez is one that I'm looking at as well, Landon Skinner as well, right? But for me, you can't count out the likes of Christian Miles, starting 15th. He was quick, top 3 in X30 Senior, right? So, to me, Christian Miles, with how aggressive and calculated he can drive, I think on board that TB kart, he looks to be incredibly quick. Another driver that I'm looking at, AJ Myers, right? I mean, not running a shifter this weekend, so he's going to run KA Senior and a top 6 qualifying position. He's one of those drivers that seems to always be there when it matters. How about this guy on your screen right here, Steven Miller? Didn't have the day yesterday that he would have wanted. His best session of the day actually was qualifying 23rd on the grid, right behind Alex Stanfield. So there's a lot of drivers, like you mentioned, with how stacked this KA Senior class is. A lot of drivers are down the order. How about Finnegan Bailiff, 28th. Maskelis, top 3 in warm-up, 25th. Ryan Persing, 33rd. Chase Piscalia, Tony Rivera, outside the top 30. So many drivers. Eli Warren, outside the top 40.
Colin Lloyd as well is pretty far back. So, a lot of so we're talking about picks, right? I really thought I had my picks set in my mind, and then as we keep scrolling down the list, I'm like, oh my, there's so many guys who could really, impress us here this weekend. I mean, guys that I would think right here. I mean, Austin Olds has had a great weekend so far, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him up there. We saw him in the junior categories last year, and he really impressed last year, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him there up the field. I wouldn't be surprised to Adrian Cruz as well if he can get that luck back on his side here this weekend. I wouldn't be surprised to see Adrian Cruz in his Ursuline machine work his way up the field. I mean, another driver, Alex Stanfield, who's always quick, has a lot of laps around this place. I wouldn't be surprised to see him up there in the field as well. And, many more. Finnegan Bailiff, like you said, right? So many drivers who are going to work their way up. I mean, a couple of guys who I've seen race out here, and I know are quick out here. Jesus Vasquez Jr., right? One of the drivers who impressed us all last year and this year as well. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him up there. Took a win here 2 weeks ago. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Vasquez Jr. Up there as well and challenging for the race win. And I wouldn't be surprised to see hometown kid, right, racing in his backyard, Aiden Rudolph. I wouldn't be surprised to see him out here. Has more laps than anybody probably in the history of this track. So, a lot of good drivers that I wouldn't be surprised to see challenge. So I thought I had a pick in mind, Alex, but I'm going to, forget about that because it's anybody's game at this point.
For me, another driver to mention is Colin Lloyd, right? He qualified 46th, had chassis issues yesterday, went to the Tullio's old chassis from Homestead, but with that quick chassis change before qualifying, forgot to tighten the seat, so the seat was completely loose in qualifying, so that's why the lap times are what they are. Considering all that, he was only 5/10 off, and if you guys have ever driven with a loose seat, I have, it changes the balance of the go-kart completely. It is unpredictable. You cannot guess anything that's going to happen with the chassis. So for Colin Lloyd there, pretty much went into a session blind and he's going into today even more blind. He's probably going to go and tighten that seat this morning just to make sure. But I think Colin Lloyd, one of the drivers, he did it last year as well. To me, with a split field in the heats, I think if he can just work his way up 10, 15 spots a race, he'd be in maybe a top 20 position for the feature race. Anything can go from there in the KA senior class. Yeah, and there on your screen is Aiden Rudolph, who, hometown kid, Joey Friend, another CRG Nordum driver, MSL CRG Nordum driver there with one of the trackside karting services. GFC's right behind them. So a lot of drivers, a lot of good drivers here this weekend. A lot of guys who have a lot of laps around this place, and it's really going to be anybody's game. Right? I mean, we saw some of these drivers. We got a little sneak peek from some of these drivers 2 weeks ago of what the racing was going to be like, and I mean, a lot of different colors out here this weekend, right? We see the return of the CRG team here this year, and it's just a lot of different manufacturers, the GFCs, your OTKs, your MPG Motorsports Kart Republics, your Sodi Racing USA machines, a lot of different chassis here this weekend. And it's really great to see that the sport's kind of growing and we're getting more and more chassis, more diversity in chassis coming out to the racetrack across the National Series, Alex. Yeah, for sure. I mean, how about it for warm-up so far? It's Jesus Vasquez topping the timing sheets this morning. Landon Skinner, P2. Fernando Luque in third. There's Jake Drew. He's going to be your pole sitter for the heat races in his group. So he is rolling so far. Looking at the timing and scoring, not really a great warm-up, right? 23rd for Jake, but again, you can't go off of timing. You don't know what they're going to be testing, what they're not going to be testing. There's Chase Buscalia and Aiden Rudolph going at it there down the back straightaway. So you don't know what drivers are testing. You don't know what their tires are at, what pressures they're running, what setup they're running, for all you know. So I don't like to go off warm-up too much, but nonetheless, warm-up gives you an idea of how stacked the field is, right? I know we've said it all morning long, but just like in KA Junior with 86 go-karts, right? There's 60-plus in KA 100 Junior, or Senior, sorry, and with how important the toe is, how difficult it already is to pull away at a track like Speedsportz, I expect, maybe a 10, 15 car train come the heat races and feature races. Yeah, no, for definitely, right? And some drivers that I failed to mention, I mean, Landon Skinner, the rookie, he's going to be quick, has a lot of laps around this place as well. Peyton Phillips, the reigning Texas Sprint Racing Series champion, he's going to be quick around this place as well. So, it's anybody's game when we get to it later today and then for the main events tomorrow. So it's going to be, an action-packed weekend of racing. There's Jody Friend up into the top 10 as well as Alex Stanfield. So all these guys, morning warm-up, not too relative here, just testing out different things, maybe doing a little bit of setup changes. But as we continue to work our way through, that was your KA 100 senior class. Coming up next is your X30 juniors. But let's take advantage of this moment to hear a quick word from our sponsors.
We're at a commercial break. Colin, I need a new 219 chain. I need a 77 tooth sprocket. I need some more chain lube, and I need it probably as soon as like tomorrow. Dude, are you even listening? Like, we need this to run this weekend.
Want anything else?
What do you mean?
I already got it in the car on Acceleration Kart Racing's online store, bro. All orders over $200 get free shipping.
Oh, throw in a set of tires.
Done.
Everything you need, all in one place and shipped to your door for free on orders of $200 or more. Exclusions apply. Shop akr.com.
Well, welcome back to Speedsportz Racing Park. My name is Caleb Vieska. Alongside me here at the moment is our Intel man, Alexander Searle. Who's here joining me. Alex, the X30 Junior is out there on the racetrack, and we're following around Ty Fisher in his lime green TV cart. And a video that went viral not too long ago about those TV carts, you know, some banter going on at Texas Racing Series. They took down the name of the John Deere tent, that TV cart Amarillo team. But I'll tell you what, it seems like someone strapped some wings onto those tractors, because they've been flying all weekend long, right? Christian Miles, super quick. Ty Fisher, super quick all weekend long. So not very tractor-like, but just a joke that arose, you know, all in good fun with the in between the GWR guys and the TV cart Amarillo team a couple weeks ago at the Texas Racing Series.
Yeah, Ty Fisher's been really quick all year long, right? He's P7 starting spot here in the X30 Junior class. You know, making the transition to cars slowly, right? I got a chance to instruct him at VIR in some of the Formula cars there. He'll be going to Lime Rock later this month as well. So Ty Fisher transitioned to the cars, still doing some karting, right? It's still, you know, the purest form of motorsports in my opinion. There's Chase Gassiet-Lee, you know, we've been mentioning him in the KA Junior class, now in the X30 Junior class as well, running double duty, one of the many that is doing that. He's starting P9 here in the X30 Junior class. Let's talk about, you know, kind of what we're going to expect for your starting order, right? Only one group, it's a smaller class here for X30 Junior, but a stacked class nonetheless. Chico Brown on pole position. How about it for Vanchev there, making some moves? Vanchev's actually starting a little bit further down the order, but it's going to be Jackson Wolney and Chico Brown on your front row there. Jackson Wolney's been incredibly quick all year long, and then his teammates, Sarah Bradley, has been fast. So the speed concepts look to be good here in the X30 Junior class. Degar Diles is Chico Brown's teammate. He's inside your top five, and then it's Enzo Vidmontien. So that's really the five that we've seen in X30 Junior all year long in every race we've gone through. Ty Fisher obviously split them up, as well as Gassiet-Lee in Orlando. So really those have been the headline names, but the X30 Junior class is growing. There's a lot of, you know, stacked drivers here coming from Mini, even coming from KA Junior last year into X30 Junior now before they make the transition to senior, maybe the following year or the year after that. So for this X30 Junior class, maybe not the biggest field we have in the you know, out of all the groups that we have, but nonetheless the drivers are really, really quick.
Yeah, and another interesting thing about this X30 Junior class, right? These are the stars of tomorrow. You know, our X30 Pro Class being obviously our headline class, and then you have these support classes with drivers who we'll see up there, you know, in a year or 2 years time, you know, fighting against some of the likes of Ryan Norbert, Garrison, your Joe Turney's who will come back later this year. You know, a lot of great drivers, and these junior drivers being great drivers, and they respect, and a lot of national race winners, right? Sarah Bradley was able to get her first national race win in Orlando for the Rock Cup USA Florida Winter Tour final round. So, you know, that's like good to see for a lot of race winners in their respect here in this class, and it's really anybody's game, you know, coming to it later today.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, so far it's actually Ty Fisher top of the board there, like you mentioned there, the flying tractors there, Caleb, and then it's Chico Brown, second Ardiles, Wolney, Sarah Bradley, Gassiet Lee. So the drivers that we were mentioning, but Ty Fisher slotting himself first so far in the warm-up session. Just to give you an idea, right, because Fisher starting 7th in qualifying, fastest here in warm-up, but there goes Chico Brown topping the timing sheets. But as the drivers continue to cycle through, it's still Chico Brown ahead of Fisher, Ardiles, Wolney, Bradley, Gassiet Lee, no one improving. Granted, they were probably all battling through Switchback City and the buckle section of the racetrack for the last couple of laps there. So nobody really getting to set a lap time, blistering enough here in warm-up that could, scare the opposition. But for sure, for Chico Brown, doing what he did yesterday in qualifying, doing it again, replicating it here in the warm-up session, heading into the heat races, that'll boost his confidence any more than it already is with, a top 3 in both junior classes in qualifying, Caleb.
Yeah, and I want to go back to what you said, the belt buckle in Switchback City. It's already sticking, so you're a Texan already, I should say, right? You're basically a local here at Speedsportz Racing Park, so it's good to see you got that down already, Alex. And actually, I wasn't the one who named those corners. I think fellow Kart Chaser employee and one of our own Rocker Music was the one who named that belt buckle section, and then Switchback City was something that me and Danner kind of came up with a couple of weeks ago. But hopefully we can get some some I guess street names on those corners, right, with Switchback City and belt buckle, adding some character to this great Texas track. But coming up next is your mini Swift class, where Marco Samet was able to put it on the pole position here yesterday. A very, very stacked mini Swift class with a lot of drivers who have a lot of race wins across the national series as they get set to come out. There's Valentino Santillan, who's leading the charge here with a couple of other drivers. The Trinity Karting Group driver there of Bergman, if I'm not mistaken. That's correct.
Yeah.
And more drivers in this one. That's Tucker Creed there on your screen. The Academy machine that works his way through, and a lot of great drivers there. Royce Vega, you see him there on your screen, and more getting set to take the green flag later today. And what is a very, very, very stacked class, Alex.
Oh, yeah. I mean, just to give you an idea, right, we saw Bergman there leading the group out onto the racetrack. He's qualified 25th in Mini Swift. This is probably the weekend that out of all the weekends that Bergman's had of how quick he was last year, making the move to TKG, about a round to go on the national scene. He was quick, but this weekend struggling a little bit for pace, about 8/10 off, right? So that gives you an idea, because we know how fast Josh Bergman is, and we'll know he'll figure it out throughout the weekend. But to be 25th, now we would expect. Look at all the, the squabbling for position here, Caleb, just to get themselves in line. I mean, with these kids, it's all about really practicing, getting, finding the guy that you expect to work with in the race. That's what they're trying to do right now. And, this is not what you want to see if you're a mechanic, having your kid go out there and test maybe a new setup change, because they're all going 3 wide through some of these corners. So probably a heart and mouth moment for some of the parents and mechanics as these kids go 3 wide through turns 1 and 2. But they all make it through cleanly, so it just gives you an idea, right? These 8 to 12-year-olds are some of the best. And like you mentioned, right, the stars of the future.
Yeah, no, for sure. These are the drivers that we're going to see either, racing cars later in the future, right? Parker Ives having a NASCAR background, and he's been super quick, for the past couple of years, and put the karting world on notice. So, a lot of great drivers. Liam Nachawati, when we talked about him, you're very familiar with Liam, right? Did some coaching with him last year and for quite some time now, right? He's from Dallas, Texas, a fellow Texan. Was with Parolin and moved to the Sodi Racing USA team here. And I'm pretty sure you've caught up with him here this weekend. How's he feeling under new colors here this weekend? A new chassis for him this weekend.
I mean, pretty good, right? If you look at, qualifying, maybe it says a different story, 23rd. But, goes back to what we always say. This mini class is, one, it puts on some of the best racing we have out of all the classes, in my opinion. Every single time, Mini Swift hits the racetrack, you have to hold your breath for about 20 laps, because those kids are incredible to watch. But yeah, 23rd for Liam Nakawati. But to give you an idea, right, we have the likes of Benja Fernandez, a Miami local. I get the chance to see him all the time over there in Homestead. He's 16th at Ashton Wyatt, right. We have Valentino Santillan. We saw him leading this group out. He's 12th. Mika Burrow, 11th. Parker Ives, 10th. One of the drivers last year who dominated in the Microsoft category. So to give you an idea of just how deep this field goes for with how many national level talent that we have here, Caleb.
Yeah, a lot of national level talent around this place. And I mean, we're talking about some of your fellow Floridians, right? I mean, some of the our fellow Texans here, right? Aston Wyatt there, and Oscar, Victor Gus Wonderlay, Oscar Gus Wonderlay, one of the Wonderlay brothers there, the Iron Rock Motorsports machine. Alex Chandler as well, you know, a fellow Houstonian who's out here this weekend. A lot of other drivers, you know, who are going to impress, you know, Texans who have a lot of laps on this place. Schneegenberg, Royce Vega, more and more drivers, you know, getting set 6.5. Sawyer Chambers as well, one of those drivers. Young Sawyer Chambers has, you know, in one of his breakout, I would say, national start so far in qualifying, put it up into the top 10. So, you know, that's good to see so far by Young Sawyer Chambers and his Iron Rock Motorsports Intrepid here this weekend. But a lot of good drivers, you know, very talented drivers. Pasha Ali as well, making his way to the CRG Nordam team from the Saudi Racing USA team. So, you know, a lot of great drivers. And like we said, and like we said many times, right, a lot of different manufacturers, and great to see the diverse colors and different chassis out here this weekend, Alex.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, 3 laps into this warm-up session here, the drivers still not slotting in line so they can get the best out of their warm-up session. But nonetheless, it gives you good practice for what to expect in the heat races here. I mean, we see different lines there through turns 1, 2, and 3. You mentioned, Caleb, turn 1, in your opinion, is one of the most important corners on the racetrack, and I'd have to agree with you, right? Because it's a fast section of the racetrack, but especially at the starts of the races, right? When you're side by side through the section, as there we see 2 drivers going down the back straightaway, giving each other a little bit of love there, side-by-side contact, but Rubbin's racing sometimes here, and these kids leave it all out on the line, even if it's a warm-up session. So, nonetheless, here, these kids giving us a bit of a preview of what we can expect from them in the heat races. But like I mentioned earlier, right, if I'm a mechanic of these guys, I'm like, oh, go out there and just test the setup I put on your go-kart. No need to go and, rub off the stickers that we just put on this morning. But nonetheless, these Mini Swift kids put on a show for us. There's Maxwell Macha, has had a great year so far, was your champion. There's three wide there in turn 15 there, Kayla. That's a Schneegenberg and others there. So, what's caught your eye so far in the session here? What are you looking at and saying, who do you think's going to be quick, right? We obviously know Marco Samet's one of them, but how about it for, Bergman outside your top 20? What can we see from him? What do you expect in this Mini Swift class?
Yeah, so firstly, I mean, something that I'm seeing, right, these drivers are a lot closer to each other than we are, and we're sitting right next to each other, right? They're driving so close to each other so far in this warm-up session. So that's one of the things that surprised me so far, right? It's warm-up, elbows out already, jockeying for position. So that's one of the big things that I've noticed right off the bat. Drivers that I think are going to be up there, I mean, I think the one on your screen there, the Iron Rock Motorsports Tony Kart of Alex Chandler is going to be one of those drivers who's going to be up there, right? He's starting fifth. So, I wouldn't be surprised to see him, work his way up there. Royce Vega as well just fell just short of the pole position yesterday. Maxwell Macha, his rookie season in the Mini Swift class after a great Micro Swift campaign last year. Supernats champion for Maxwell Macha. So, there's a lot of drivers and a lot of talent in this field that you can't really pinpoint just to. So Maxwell Macha, starting 20th, I would like to see him, work his way up the field and contend there. Like you said, Liam Nachawati as well, new colors for him. I mean, we're used to seeing him, up there near the podium, so I wouldn't be surprised to see him work his way up as well. Colton Schneegenberg in the 27 GWR machine. Talked to him a little bit yesterday. They were struggling a little bit with the engine, but they seem to have gotten it figured out because they're not too far off here in this morning warm-up. Currently 15th for Colton Schneegenberg and a lot more, right? Some of the Bennix further back, Bashi Fernandez there going to work his way up, and a local kid, right, Aston Wyatt, who's starting further back, 14th. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him work his way up. Emerson Lane as well, a fellow Texan from Dallas, Texas. A lot of good drivers and a lot of talent in this field. Josh Bergman, like you said, right? So very, very stacked class, and a lot of drivers that I think will be up there and get up in the mix and into the fight for qualifying here. For heat racing.
Yeah, checkered flag is out for the warm-up session here. Just running through your top 5 in the warm-up session. It's Sawyer Chambers putting it first ahead of Ashton Woon, ahead of Royce Vega. Puts his best lap on the last lap there, Parker Ives. Nicholas Orbezo is your top 5 for the warm-up session. But how about for Marco Samet, your pole sitter, 7th. Emerson Lane, we talked about him. 8th, Aston Wyatt on that Burrell Art chassis, 9th. Mateo Quinto there, we see him doing some of the Rotax West stuff. 10th here in the warm-up. So, yeah, super tight field in Mini Swift, and I expect it to be some of the best racing we see all weekend long.
Yeah, it's going to be a great weekend of racing. But before we get into our KA100 Masters, let's take this chance to hear a quick word from our sponsors.
Colin, I need a new 219 chain. I need a 77 tooth sprocket. I need some more chain lube, and I need it probably as soon as like tomorrow. Dude, are you even listening? Like, we need this to run this weekend.
Want anything else?
What do you mean?
I already got it in the Kart on Acceleration Kart Racing's online store, bro. All orders over $200 get free shipping.
Oh, throw in a set of tires.
Done.
Everything you need, all in one place, and shipped to your door for free on orders of $200 or more. Exclusions apply. Shop AKR.com.
Are you looking for an advantage in your competition? Well, Kart Class has done the hard work for you. We've traveled to your racetracks to give you the inside knowledge. So what does Kart Class offer? We've got drone footage that captures the racing lines, visual markers for your braking points, acceleration zones, and the best overtake opportunities on your racetrack. Pedal cam to show you where to brake and when to accelerate, and 360-degree footage to make sure you don't miss any parts on the racetrack. We've covered 13 racetracks in the United States, and Australia, you're up next. So visit kartclass.com to get your track information.
Are you ready to get behind the wheel? From Formula One to NASCAR and IndyCar, all the pros start here. For more information, check us out online at mcckarting.com or call us and go racing today.
Well, welcome back to Houston's High Speed Playground, Speedsportz Racing Park. We are here at the opening round of the United States Pro Kart Series for the 2024 campaign. As our K8 Masters have made their way onto the track, there's Vincent Cassard and Adamar Caligaro, as well as a couple of others. Speedsportz there on screen with more and more. Miguel Mir as well, a 7-time Texas champion here this weekend. Speedsportz, the Kansas City, Missouri local. 15 drivers total here in this field for these Masters. The oldest drivers that we'll see here this weekend at the United States Pro Kart Series, with the oldest driver overall is Tim Gerstner. He's out here. We saw him out at Orlando as well. So good to see him out here in Texas having a good time and racing and in good spirits with that Magic Kart team.
Yeah, Tom Gerstner, one of the nicest people you're going to meet out there on the paddock every time he comes and talks to you. It's a good time. One of the funnier guys you'll meet, too. Yeah. So if you get a chance to go and talk to Gerstner, please go and do it. But nonetheless, how about it for your qualifying order, right? Martin Stone was incredibly quick, ahead of the likes of Pierce Baldus, Adam Kreppen as well, Miguel Mir, a local here in the top 5. Laurent Mardan as well, one of the drivers that we always see in the top 5 in the KA Masters class. Really tightly knit field here, Caleb, right? 700th your top 2, 1/10 separating your top 4 in the qualifying session yesterday. Here in warm-up so far, it's Miguel Mir ahead of Martin Stone by only 400th of a second. So ahead of Adam Kreppen, ahead of Diego Rodriguez, ahead of Laurenti Mardan so far in the warm-up session. But we got to go look down the back straightaway there and how close they are, Caleb, right? You know, usually in the KA Masters class, sometimes we'll see maybe somebody, you know, walk away if they can put their laps together. But here at Speedsportz, we've come to figure out and find out, especially with how many laps you have around here, how hard it is, no matter how fast you are, to pull away.
Yeah, no, for definitely, right, with the back straightaway. I mean, I just remembered, you say it's hard to pull away, and we saw what Joe Turney did last year, right? Pulled away by a mile on the rest of the field. So, I mean, that was kind of crazy to see. The first time I've ever seen that around this place. But, you know, I think the only way that somebody could pull away is if there's fighting or a wreck that happens further back, like we saw with the K100 senior class last year, where there was a wreck with, I think it was Stanfield and John Burke, that gave Elio Meza the win and let him run away with it. So I think drafting is very important, right? If you're not in drafting range for the guy in front of you, unless you have some sort of pace, some sort of late pace, it's going to be really hard to catch someone up, catch back up to someone down this back street. That's super long, right? And the draft is super important here, like you said, right? It's not hard. It's not easy to get away, but when you do, if you can stay out in front, you know, it's going to be super hard for whoever's in second to catch back up.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, anytime you can get a lead, you want to take it. But certainly around this place, especially in the KA categories, there's Laurenti Mardan. Giving a little hip check there to the 488. You know, get out of my way. I need to set some lap times here in warm-up. But, you know, if you can get a lead, like you mentioned, if you can set laps and the drivers behind you start to battle, yeah, maybe you can pull away. But especially in the KA class, and any of the lower horsepower categories here at the USPKS, you know, all the categories that we have available to us, it is tough to pull away. You mentioned it with the X30 Pro last year with Joe Turney. We saw a lot of battling for second and third. Turney's able to pull away, put some laps towards the end, and make it count. You know, but even a shifter last year when we had a shifter class, you know, you couldn't really pull away there either. So, nonetheless, this track always creates for some of the best racing we see all year long, and it's because of the high-speed corners, the long straightaways, and especially with the KA classes that we have on offer here. I expect some great racing. There's Miguel Mir making a move on the 404 there, and we see Laurenti Mardan and others in this same group here. But Miguel Mir so far is the one leading them, but it's Adam Kreppen going purple in the warm-up session. One of the quickest guys, starting P3 in all the heat races later today.
Yeah, and we talked to Xander a little bit yesterday, right? He's 25, getting close to the K100 Masters class. You know, closer to this class than what he is to the 16-year-old mark for the K senior class. I mean, Alex, I would like to think that me and you have a long way to go until we're probably racing one of these things, but Xander gave us a funny story, right? What should be, you know, the requirements to race Masters, right? You know. Somebody had said, you know, you have to be married, divorced, and then married again with kids and yada, 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 with paying bills, paying mortgage, taxes, whatever it may be, to really race Masters out here. And you know, that's just, I thought that was pretty crazy hearing that yesterday. And, you know, it's just good to see, you know, some veterans, you know, having a good time and racing wheel to wheel and, you know, being as competitive as they are, right? Miguel Mir there right behind Vincent Cassard as they cross the line this time by, and it's Nicky Coelho who goes quickest here in morning warm-up. Martin Stone second, Miguel Mir third, Adam Kreppen fourth, Pierce Boldis rounding up your top five here. But Alex, I mean, you know, you've done some races in the KA100 senior class. I mean, that's a package that you were actually one of the first to drive alongside our director Brandon Simone, AKR factory driver, some may say. So you know, Brandon, you and him got the chance to really. You guys were one of the first ones, right, to drive that KA100 package out at AMR Homestead a couple of years ago. So I mean, what was that like? You know, for a new class, you having a 206 background and then going into that class, you know, and doing some races for the inaugural year of that engine package.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the KA100 had been around for maybe about a year or so, but it wasn't really anything big on the regional or national level. And you know, Brandon and I got the chance to go and drive the KA100 at AMR. This is, you know, 4.5 years ago. But yeah, the second I got in that cart, I was like, okay, this is the next step up from, what I was used to in the Briggs side. But there's no doubt as to why that is. The engine package people tend to go to after they are racing in Briggs for a while before they get into X30. It's a perfect segue between classes. So for sure the K100 class is one of the most fun, engine packages you can drive here. But as the X30 Pros get fired up and set to hit the racetrack here, Caleb, I mean, we talked about it with KA Senior. How about it for X30 Pro? Give me a driver that you're looking at as a dark horse. Maybe not, a top 5 guy out of qualifying, but who's somebody you're looking at and saying they can make a run through the field as the day goes on?
I mean, everything Alex Stanfield's going to be one to watch. Dalton Haynes, one of the big stories out of yesterday, right? Only 17th in qualifying. No idea what happened to Dalton Haynes yesterday. Just no pace in that Sony Racing USA machine. I have no idea if he had some sort of issue or what went on there, putting himself outside of the top 10. He's one of the drivers that I'm going to be looking at all day today. Expected to see him to work his way up the field. Hopefully got all the little gremlins out yesterday and looking to work his way up the field. As well as Alex Stanfield, right? Issue for him yesterday as well. So going to make sure to see if he can work his way up the field and see what he can do right here in this one in his TB kart. Here today, because Christian Miles was quick. They're under the same tent, so hopefully, Alex Stanfield can go up there and join a fellow teammate of Christian Miles. So those are my 2 drivers. But if I were to take another wild horse pick, I'd take Gia Cicero. Her breakout weekend this weekend, right, starting second on the outside row with her teammate Ryan Norberg. You talk about some guys who are working their way from the back of the field to the front, and I want to talk about the young lady who's at the front of the field already, Gia Cicero, because she's had a great day yesterday. Breakout performance for her in qualifying, and already making impressions on the rest of the pro guys out here.
Yeah, Gia was very impressive all day, but into qualifying as well. Got a really, really good toe. Working with Ryan, that was pretty much the strategy that we could have expected because we saw it in practice all day long. And Gia, I thought for a moment was going to get the pole position there. Even Ryan said I thought she was going to have it. She was really, really quick in the infield section of the racetrack. Ryan was able to get it there at the end. But, scary stuff for the field, right, with those 2 RPGs being quick. And then as well as Dono. I talked to Dono, and Dono's like, I'm slow. I'm like, you're 4th. you're still 4th, right? So for Bonilla, for sure there, a 1, 2, and 4 RPG. How about it for Christian Miles on the last lap of qualifying, able to split up the RPGs and put together a top 3 for the TB kart guys. And then the Tulio in 5th. There's a look at Dalton Haynes. You mentioned 17th. I talked to him and I said, hey, what happened? He goes, chassis bounced. Chassis is dialed in. I think they're lacking a little bit on the motor. They're going to work on that overnight. So let's see if it plays dividends here in warm-up and in the heat races later today. If there's one driver that I'm looking at and saying, wow, I've been very impressed with him all weekend long so far, it's Paulie Massimino. Yeah. He was top 3, top 5 every single practice session yesterday. 7th in qualifying, but who knows, maybe they miss on tire pressures. Just here and there you get a, toe can play a factor as well. We saw Garrison be quick. a 6th place for Austin Garrison. He had no draft out there. He was all alone. There's a look at Garrison, the Speed Concepts driver. They have it dialed in junior with Wolney and Bradley. They have it dialed in for senior. Paulie Massimino, this has been one of the strongest performances we've seen from him in quite some time. He was quick in Orlando, right? But this is where he seems to really be fast. Paulie Massimino, top 5 in every practice session. I expect him to be one of the drivers. He seems to always put himself in a great position come race time, and with his elite level racecraft, I think he'll be one of the drivers to watch.
Yeah, we spoke to him a couple of days ago when we were out here on an interview. Who's Paulie taking up golf now, right? He was talking with team owner Mike Doty, trying to fix his swing on the 3-wood. He was like, I keep topping it, dude. I have no idea what I'm doing, right?
Me too, bro.
So yeah, all of us, right, with golf. But a different thing, related to that, right? Paulie just in good spirits this weekend, right? Being able to, talk about, golf and stuff like that. A much lighter mood, I would say, for Paulie this weekend. Feeling good about the piece he has under him coming into this weekend. So good to see Paulie in good spirits, right? And hopefully he can pull something out of the bag later today, Alex.
Yeah, for sure. Paulie Massimino going to be very, very fun to watch in these heat races. Let's look at, how they stack up so far in warm-up. It's Ryan Norberg, the number 1, driver there, ahead of Bonilla, ahead of Garrison, ahead of Alex Stanfield in 4th there, 5/10, off of what Ryan was able to do. Ryan put 4/10 on the field there. Garrison is able to put himself now into P2. But Stanfield looking better than he was yesterday, right?
Yeah.
They're still lacking a bit of power, he told me, but in terms of the chassis setup and everything like that, he feels comfortable. And obviously, you know, with the likes of Christian Miles putting it third, we know that chassis could do it, right? So overnight, you know, comparing data with Miles, and it seems to be working so far for Alex Stanfield, you know, the driver that we know has a lot of laps around this place, we know is quick around this place. So for Chuck, you know, you mentioned it, right? Still one of the drivers, no matter what. There's so many heat races that are going to be going on throughout today and tomorrow. So for Chuck, he has a lot of chances to make up spots, and I think for sure there's nothing to worry about, right? Because there's a bunch of guys in the back. You know, Dalton Haynes is one of the drivers that we would have expected, you know, to be top 5, 17th. So he's not the only one that's outside your top 10, top 15.
Yeah, and like you're saying for Alex Stanfield, right? For Chuck, a lot of wood to chuck. You know, how much wood can a woodchuck chuck, and a woodchuck could chuck wood, right? So,
I don't know.
So we'll see how many spots Alex can make up here today in his TV kart machine. But you know, I wouldn't be surprised to see him work his way up there, as well as Santi Fernandez, right? He was a hard charger in Orlando a couple of weeks ago with teammate Alessandro De Tullio, out here this weekend as well. So, you know, a lot of drivers are going to be super quick and getting up there into the mix. You know, Austin Garrison as well. A lot of drivers. Harley Keeble, you know, we can't fail to mention. Nick Terlecki is one. Josh Holtz, all the drivers. You know, anybody's game here this weekend as X30 Senior Class, and but everybody just, you know, playing a little bit of catch up to Ryan Overberg and Gia Cicero here. But you know, Christian Miles has been the closest one there. You know, where you're used to seeing him out at the Rotax West stuff over in Phoenix earlier this year, where he was able to take a win, and then you guys were over at Tucson a couple weeks ago, where I'm not sure if he raced, but
no.
So he didn't race, but he was able to take a win over at Phoenix. Like you said, in Phoenix for the Rotax West series that you were at, and you know, he's out here for his first, you know, actual X30 campaign with the TV kart team.
Yeah, looking good, but how about it for Alex Stanfield so far? Checkered flag waves for the X30 Pro guys. Chuck puts it in the top 3, just like Miles did yesterday in qualifying. So hopefully for Stanfield's sake, this is going to be relative to what we could expect in the heat races later today, but it's still Ryan Norberg ahead of Bonilla, ahead of Stanfield, Garrison, and Massimino. Rounds out your top 5 in the warm-up. Gia Cicero, P6. She'll be on your outside of the front row for the heat races alongside her teammate, Ryan Norberg.
Yeah, so we get set to go to our members-only stream here for the start of the heat races. For $9.99 a month, become a Kart Chaser Premium member to get all the racing action live. This is going to end our free coverage of the United States Pro Kart Series. Make sure to switch over and become a Kart Chaser Premium member to catch all the racing action coming your way next.